There we go. All right, we should be good. Whoop.
Okay. Everybody can hear me, I take it.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and go through the business here real quick. First, I want to welcome Larry Luebbert as our judge for this evening. He'll probably tell us a little bit about. I'm going to make you tell us a little bit about visiting your family out in Washington. Sound like you had a pretty good time out there, even though it might have been foggy or cloudy half the time. That's kind of that part of the country from what I remember my trips out there. You either had sunshine or you had fog and rain. I don't know what you had, but
yeah, that's exactly what we had.
the other thing I want to mention is our 2022-2023 dues, $25. We've got just a few that have not sent their dues in as of a few days ago when Bill Shop and I last bounced some emails back and forth. So I want to remind everybody about that. And if anybody needs Bill's address, I can get that to you. Also, Bill, do you think we're ready to go ahead and just send out to everybody the current membership list? Or I'll tell you what, after the meeting here the next day or two, can you and I talk just briefly about the membership list, and then if we're in agreement on it, then we'll send it out to everybody.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. The only meetings we do not have a judge for at this time is February, which is the bouquet, and March, mechanical things. So I was going to ask if anybody has anyone that they know that would be willing to judge or be interested in judging those, or if not, should we consider just holding those two meetings as a discussion group and do a popular vote amongst ourselves of which ones would be the top picks for the open and the assigned. We've got a little time to think about that, but I want to toss that out there, and I can throw out an email to make sure everybody that's not here this evening can voice their ideas on that topic. How do y'all think about, if we end up you can't get a judge, if we just do it a discussion group amongst ourselves over those?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That may be what we'll end up doing if we can't find judges for those. And then I was going to ask if anyone had any shows or exhibits they wanted to announce.
Coming up the first weekend in November out at the John Knox Village in the pavilion there. So
Did you able to get that, Tom?
Can't hardly hear you, Tom.
No vid.
Okay. Hang on.
Tom, we can hear you now, but it was Raymond that said that.
Oh.
I think it was Marshall Ryman, but I don't know.
No. I think it was Raymond.
it was me.
Okay. Tom now. And what's the date?
Repeat the date and time there, Raymond.
Oh, it's the first weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the pavilion at John Knox Village,
When?
Lee Summit.
What date
I think
What
it's
day?
the 3rd, 4th, 5th.
of November?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get that, Tom?
Got it.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody else? Gonna mention Gary Walden just had a birthday. Happy birthday, a few days late, Gary.
Yeah, happy
But
birthday.
yeah, it was a
birthday.
big one. 70.
70, huh?
Yeah. Made it.
There you go. Well, make it for a few more, will you?
Yeah, plan on.
And then I was got a question here. Anybody, do we have any old business we need to take up that we had covered previously? Going, gone. Okay. I'm gonna go on to new business. Talked to Bill Stodmeyer about this. This is going to be my final year to be president of the club. So I'm gonna throw it out there now. So if someone wants to take the position next year, by all means, take the position. I have enjoyed doing this. I love doing it, but I need a break. I need a long break. I've got some things here that I need to do that's going to really carve up my time as far as taking care of club business and the behind the scenes stuff. And my wife and I are planning. We've got a lot of plans of some stuff we want to do. I'm just not going to be able to do it for I don't know how long, but I'll stay with it. Through the end of this year. I've loved every minute of it. I enjoy meeting with all you folks. You guys are great, but it's time for me to hang up my hat and go do a few other things for ourselves. So I'm gonna put that out there, and actually I'll put that out into a general email to everybody too, to let everybody know that this year's it for me. After May of this next year, I'm done. So I'll leave it for someone else to pick up the ball and run with it.
Time and effort.
Oh, hey, I mean, I've loved every minute of it, but I just can't devote any more time after this year. I won't be able to. I've just got too many things going on that are coming up that it's just gonna make it impossible for me. So anyway, that's all the business that I have at this point. Anybody else have anything else they need to add? Nobody? Mr. Luebbert, the meeting is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to just walk through these in the sequence that they popped up on the Google Drive. That's about the easiest thing waiting for me to do it. So the first one up here is Mono Lake by Jay Schultz. I'm not sure I didn't pick up the first name off. I left your club list downstairs. I'm on a computer upstairs. My camera and my computer downstairs quit working, and I can't get it to work. Period. So I bought a camera and put it on a different computer upstairs. That's where I'm at now. So it's a little confusing. I really liked this shot. I thought what I heard it a little bit was a little bit on the kind of a gray side in the water there. Probably a little bit more contrast in that area would have helped. Although I thought it was very good. I got it. The sky, I like the sky. I like the rocks in the foreground. I really like the foreground at the very bottom of it. It got second place. I thought it a little bit more contrast in the water would have helped a little bit more, but I generally liked the shot. Okay, next one is Kansas Badlands by Bill Schaaf. And again, this is a really neat shot. It's somewhat on the contrasty side. It looks different. I'm looking at two different monitors here. It looks different on the different monitors. Possibly bringing down the highlight to hair would have helped. But I generally like the leading line coming in from the right to the left in that valley there. And I was tempted to maybe to darken the sky a little, burn the sky a little bit in. But other than that, I think it's pretty good shot. That got third place. Next one is Misty Morning. This is a really tough shot to get. I liked it, but compared to some of the others, I thought the contrast had some challenges to it. And I'd have to play with it for a while on the computer to figure out what to do with it to get more contrast. possibly, definitely have to work in the different areas at different points with masking and something, change the contrast. I'm not sure that all the sky helps it. I would have taken, my temptation would have been take something off the sky, make it a little bit more elongated. The foreground is nice. It's got some detail in the foreground. It's generally a pretty good shot. It's just, up against the competition, it just didn't quite make the cut, but there's nothing, it's a nice shot. Morning Stillness is the next one by Calvin Burgess. On my big monitor downstairs, I thought the foreground was a little bit washed out. I like the shot and I like the fog coming up off the water. I like the composition, possibly maybe a little bit too centered, but I like the idea. I like the highlights and the trees up on the upper right corner. But my very first reaction when I saw it was the foreground was too bright. And that kind of pulled my eye away from the rest of the picture. So so I went with my first reaction on this one. It's a nice shot. It's nice and sharp, but I didn't place it. Well, it got close. Next one is Northeast Colorado by Bill Stoudemire. I like the idea and the openness of the countryside and stuff. I kind of like that type of terrain. I thought the sky could have used more contrast, especially at the top. If you look at some of the Ansel Adams shots, he would have really darkened the top, probably at least a third of that sky, especially out to the top edge. It really burned it down and put more contrast in the clouds. I like the foreground, the good detail in the grass in the front and so on. So, and for those reasons, I gave it an honorable mention. Okay. And by the way, I'm running through here. Anybody has any comments, please step in and pop up a comment. I don't want anybody to be cut off. If the maker of the particular photograph wants to talk about it, please do talk about it. Share with me what you were seeing, what you were trying to accomplish, and so on. So I should have said that earlier on. Okay, the last one is Moonrise by Raymond McGee. And what really, this got first place. It really impressed me with the range of contrast, range of density, light highlight, dark shadow. I don't know how he pulled off that full moon shot with that type of lighting. That's a pretty tricky maneuver to pull. But the thing that really caught my eye was the really good contrast. There was good detail in the highlights on the right side of that valley. And the darkening in the sky really helped. It really brought my eye down into the center of the photograph. If I was to do anything to it, I would have been tempted to burn a little bit of the bottom in, a little bit at the edges, just to darken a little bit to move my eye more to the center. But it's got great tonal range and a nice composition. So that's really the basis for making it first place. Okay, that is all of the, well, okay, there were three in there that were headed with landscape. It was a little confusing for a minute, and then I figured it out. The next one is Cloud Power. This is awful muddy looking. It was my first reaction. It's a neat shot. It's obviously a big power plant. Probably needed more contrast in the clouds would be my first reaction. But my general reaction when I opened it up was it just had a kind of a muddy appearance to it compared to some of the other images that were in the competition. I like the idea a lot. I would have been tempted to. I would really try to work on getting more contrast in the clouds, especially with the. I assume that's mostly steam coming off that stack. But if you could get that stack to stand out in the background, I think that would really help it. The lights themselves looked like they were a little flaring out in the lens or whatever. That kind of caught my eye, but that's probably typical of a night shot. But generally, it's a neat shot. It just didn't. in comparison to some of the other stuff, it needed some more work. The dark bottom at the bottom, to keep my eye away from the bottom edge was a good idea.
Yeah, this was one of those iPhone shots where I'm driving along and I see that and it's like, crap, I don't have my nice camera kit and the cool weather, and it was rainy, and it would have been a great shot if I would have had my big kit with me, but I had to be satisfied with my iPhone. So
What does that say copy of? Was that a copy of a printer?
as I was copying it out of my phone, it put that on there and I didn't realize it. So
Okay. It's a neat idea. I think you can work with it some more and really make it come up some.
if I can get the weather conditions to match up, I'd like to go back down there and do the same
Was
shot.
that down south of Kansas City?
Yeah, this is down in Lynn Valley
Racine?
or Lacine. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I used to go duck hunting down there when I lived in Kansas City.
Mhm.
Recognize that. And my son works for the power company, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, next one is Lake Michigan chairs. What caught my eye that I liked it, the two things caught my eye that kind of hurt it, I think. Number one, there was loss of detail in the chairs, especially in the seat of the chairs. And I know that's a white chair and therefore it'd blow out real quick. The other thing that caught the vignetting in the upper left and right corners I found that kind of objectionable. I think it was a good idea, but it's just too obvious. I would have been tempted to, I've been playing around with Lightroom. I would have tempted to use a linear mask, so that was, I darkened the top edge and then it faded out to a lighter color as I came down. This was probably just a standard vignette that Lightroom does from the corners. And that's where you gotta be, my experience at least, I emphasize my very limited experience with Lightroom is you gotta really be careful with that technique. But those are the two things that bothered me. It's very sharp optically. And other than the blown out highlights and the vignetting, I mean, the water is good. And I noticed the vignetting on the bottom corners too. So that's what led me to think you probably just use the corner vignetting technique. And that in that particular case, like I said a minute ago, I played with that. You have to be really careful. It becomes real obvious real quick like.
Well, the reason I did it, I was trying to focus on if somebody was sitting in the chairs, where they would be looking. So by using the vignette, it was a try to focus in the center as opposed to any other reason. So
yeah, and I think you're on the right track. It was just, I think it was a little too obvious, probably. Like I say, I think if you would have used more of a linear structure coming in from the bottom up, and then the same thing on the sky, and then maybe a little bit on the edges on top of that, wouldn't have been near as obvious, and it would have really kept the focus in the center.
okay.
Horizon line is off too.
It's worth a try, at least. My suggestion is it'd be worth a try. Other comments? I heard somebody else say something.
Horizon line is off. Probably about 2 degrees.
Okay. If that's all the assigned. Okay, then first, oh, well, no, I'm sorry. There's the one more. I missed it. Spiral. The spiral. There wasn't a lot of contrast, I thought, with the image in the wall. The kind of neat idea. I assume it's a shadow on some kind of a brick wall.
Yes, it is. It's down west bottom. So
Okay.
yeah, just walking around, found that, and I thought it was kind of interesting.
It definitely is interesting. I like the idea. I think the detail in the brick, if that would have been brought up more contrasty, that would really helped it. The shadows are kind of grayish looking, maybe a little deeper shadow would have helped it. But just generally a little kind of, my first reaction was it's flat. I'm being very critical here, but that was my first reaction to it. I like the idea. I just think it needed some more work.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Okay, the first open is breakfast on the fly. And my first reaction was, gosh, this is a neat shot. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the bird's not in sharp focus. The limb to the right of the edge of the picture is sharp, but the bird and the insect aren't. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, darn, this could be an absolutely fantastic shot if it had been in sharp focus. And I recognize the technical challenge of doing that. But unfortunately, given the competition, that really hurt it. But boy, that's a worthwhile try. I've been shooting my grandson playing sports, baseball and football, and I'm finding a shutter speed below about 1/2, at least a minimum 1,000th of a second. Most of them about 1/1600th of a second. Those are the kind of speeds I need to stop things like that. And with the digital camera, you crank the ISO up, you can do that. But the first thing that caught my eye was the limb on the right side is in focus now, but that's not the subject. The subject is the bird, which is on the left side. And I go over there and I go, crap, the bird's not in focus. I mean, it's not bad. It's not sharp enough to really pull it off. Comments? I mean, technically, this is a hell of a challenge.
Yeah, it was fun trying to get that because that bird and the bug were both moving.
Yeah, yeah. I got pictures of my grandson hitting a baseball, and with the ball's about 5-6 feet out in front of the bat, and you can see this webbing in the ball. But I shot it at 1/1600th of 1/1650, 1/1650. But boy, I would have loved to have gotten this shot in focus, sharp focus. That would just be an absolute winner. Okay, next one is the burnt trees. This reminded me of my trips to Yellowstone, which I've always enjoyed. So I really liked it. A little bit darkening in the sky helped it, I thought. Good detail in the foreground and the grass and stuff, and then really good contrast in the trees. So it's probably a personal preference on my part, but I really liked it from the putting me in the area of that type of environment. So I'm probably a little bit biased, but I gave it first place. So I really did like it.
Who shot that photo? Larry?
Go ahead.
Who shot the photo?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay Schultz. I should have mentioned that, apologize. And backing up, Moonrise was Raymond McGee's. I don't have some of the other names written down here.
We can go back through them at the end there.
Pardon?
We can go back through them here at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, you can go back through them, yeah.
At the titles at the time you see them, that'd be good too.
Okay, the next one is Dawson City Boulevard. My first reaction to this was it's kind of a muddy look to it. It needs more contrast, especially in the sky. There again, the sky is really kind of a light gray almost. I mean, you got clouds and stuff, but compared to some of the other shots of sky, there's the open part of the sky, it's just really just a light gray. It could really be a lot darker. And it's pretty much a centered shot. Maybe might be a crop just a little too tight. A little bit of a street foreground in the front of it may have produced more of a leading edge into the shot, and maybe more of a slight angle off the corner. give you more of a leading edge type thing, because I'm not sure the left side of that building as it goes back to the left of the image is really adds that much. The great details in my mind anyway, is in the front, the overhung roof and so on. But my general reaction when I first saw it was it doesn't have enough contrast. But and I think that could be worked on. Okay, I'm sorry, that was Tweed.
Tom Wedbush.
Oh, Wedbush. Yeah, okay, yeah. Just it's the T and the Wedbush are tied together. Okay, next one is Happy Kids Antioch Park, Marshall Wyman. Is that the way you pronounce it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I like this shot. It's a neat shot with the kids. I gave it an honorable mention. I like the detail in the water, the reflections and so on. I like the idea of the kids on the walk, especially with the one with his foot up in the air. He's obviously in motion. I probably would have been tempted to crop a little bit off the top of it, make it a little bit more of a oblong horizontal shot. I don't think a lot of the trees at the top really focuses me on the kids very much, and that's really the subject of the photo. So I thought it was pretty good. The contrast was pretty fair. So I gave it an honorable mention. Okay, if there's no comments, the next one is Iron Cross by Dennis Lindell. There was good contrast in it. I had a little bit of trouble with focusing in on the main point of the photograph. I'm not sure that the top 20% is needed. It's all pretty much shadow detail up in there, because the real image is the structure in the bottom part of the photograph. There's good separation in the grass and the steel and stuff. It's a good shot. There's no question about it. But it just didn't grab me really like some of the other shots did. I would be tempted to redo it and take a lot of that top shadow out and just focus it more on the center image there. And that's my personal preference. Everybody can disagree. Okay, the next shot is Sitting Tight by Bill Schaff. This really grabbed me. I like this. This is I thought this was a neat shot. The moment it came up on the screen, I went, oh wow. This is really a neat one. I like the frog detail in the bottom. I'm not sure that we needed all of the detail in the top. I would have been tempted to crop it down to the next set of pads right below the top. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, more like that. Yep. That's it. That would be my temptation. But I thought the separation was good. I thought it was good contrast, good detail in the water, really good detail in the lilies. So it was well done. It got second place.
What are the odds of you catching a frog on a lily pad?
Yeah, I agree. It's really I mean I'm an outdoorsy type person anyway. I really liked it.
I mean, that's kind of the cliche, the story from even kids, but with frogs sitting on lily pads. But I in my life have never seen one in person, so
Yeah.
Purely luck.
it's impressive.
Yeah. Okay, next one is Swamp Reflections by Bill Stodmeyer. And I find it a little confusing. It's really contrasty, And I struggled trying to see where the water line was. So that it creates some confusion in my head. I mean, technically sharp and so on. But just for some reason, and I don't know quite why it happened that way, but the not being able to see the water line creates confusion in my brain. And and maybe that's intentional. I don't know, you possibly darkening part of the photograph versus the other, wherever up to the water line or something, darkening that part of it so there was more separation. Might have helped the visual impact for different people. I mean, it may just be me, but it was confusing to me. Technically, I mean, the contrast or tone range, stuff like that is good. It just, I got lost. I guess is the best way to put it.
That was interesting to see in person too, because it really was hard to see where the water line was.
Yeah.
But this is I'm not too, it's near Bloomington in Indiana, where my daughter lives. And it's kind of a swampy area, and I'm not sure what it's called now, but anyway, it just.
I like the idea. I like the idea of what you're trying to accomplish. And I don't know, I would experiment with maybe trying to darken the bottom from the water line down, and as it progressed down further and further, to darken it more. That would tend to give you a leading line up to the water line, I think. I don't know. Just be something I'd try to see what would happen, how it would look. I wouldn't throw it away. I'd make another crack at it if I were you. But that'd be my first patience, try something like that. I am by far not an expert with Lightroom. I've only been fiddling with it for a couple months. But I would try what they call that linear mask that they have available. Yeah, where I really darken the bottom edge, and then it would lighten all the way up to the water line to give it more definition of where that line is. I don't know. I'd try it. I'd see what it looked like. Any other comments along those lines? I know some of you other folks out there are a lot more knowledgeable with Lightroom than I am. Is that something that might work? Nobody said anything. Okay.
What were you trying to do? I'm sorry, what were you trying to do in Lightroom again?
Use a linear mask and darken from the bottom upwards to where the natural water line is, just to darken, just to give us some separation between what's reflected off the water and what's above it. It's more to define where the water line is.
Hey, Bill, are you still using Lightroom 6?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's that gradated filter is what he's talking about. You won't have that masking capability. They just came out with that in the last year or so.
Okay.
I think the big problem is that let me change my color here. So I think, like the water line is on this tree right here.
Okay.
And the water line on this tree looks to be about right in here.
So you
This
have to
one
really
is
play with
here.
it then.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
the water line is through here for the land. So I don't know if a linear filter would fix that or not. So
No,
it might.
darken
probably
the
have to do
water.
a combination of things, or you might come in from the corner. You can do that linear thing off of a corner too. It's not a rectangular type, horizontal or vertical type thing. You can come in from a corner. At least what I've been playing with. And then there's a guy named Margaret Tandy or something like that, has videos on Lightroom on YouTube. He talks about overlaying one mask on top of another to get to do things like that. I haven't tried a lot of it yet, but I've just watched a couple of his YouTube videos. But I just got Lightroom a couple months ago, so I've got the latest version. I'm paying for it by the month, so it's updated all the time. And some of the masking techniques look really slick. But as you pointed out, the water line's not horizontal like I thought it was. So it would be a challenge, but it'd be worth playing with.
and also to the water in person, there is no land line in the back. That water goes clean to the back and you really can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Bill, to print.
I think it's got potential. I worked with it for a while. I think it's got a lot of potential. It just, as it is, it just threw me a loop. I wasn't sure what I was looking at for a little bit. Took me a while to figure out, just where the lines were. So it was confusing for me.
Look at it long enough, it'll give you a headache.
Yeah.
But it's a neat.
Got a lot of things
neat
going
idea.
on, doesn't it?
Okay, we done with that one?
I think so.
Okay, the next one is called 3 by Gary Walden. Neat portraits, kind of a portrait family type shot. I thought it was, from a human interest standpoint, I really liked it. It's really, really cute. And the nice smiles on everybody's faces, good, clear face shots, good texture in the young lady's dress, which is pretty much of a highlight. I thought it was a really neat family shot, so I gave it an honorable mention. At most, you could probably maybe crop up to the young lady's hands just a little bit from the bottom, but other than that, I wouldn't touch it. Yeah, come on down. Come on down. You go, don't cover your about maybe something like that. No, a little bit further down. No, right there. Oh, try that. See what that looks like. But the facial expressions and stuff are really good. I liked it. So that got honorable mention. Okay, last one is tired, retired, and repurposed. And boy, that sounds familiar. From Raymond McGee. It's got third place. I like the leading lines in it, the good detail in the foreground, but not lost detail. Really nice highlight on the decking of the bridge. My reaction was, I'm not sure you needed all the what I'll call the superstructure of the bridge. I think because the focus is really the walkway through the bridge. So I would have been tempted to crop a little bit off the top, but that's just my personal preference. Raymond, I'm sure probably has his own preferences, but it's really done well. And I like the idea. I don't know where that, I'd be curious to where that's at, but I thought it was a nice shot.
From Pennsylvania.
Okay. Okay. I think that's the end. Yeah, that's the end of them according to my list here. General comments, anybody? I thought it was nice black and whites. By the way, on the frog one, that was kind of a almost like a sepia tone color. Was that intentional?
Yes. And you're
Okay.
correct. It's a sepia tone.
Yeah. That caught my eye right away. I thought that was kind of unique in the group. So that plus the frog, I just thought, wow, this is really a neat shot. And like everybody said, how often are you going to find the frog sitting on a lily pad?
That's real.
That was cute. Well, I apologize everybody for the confusion. I thought it was Thursday. I was totally, we got in third Tuesday. I got like 3 hours of sleep Tuesday night. We had a 5:11 flight out of Eugene, Oregon. So we got up at like 3:30 in the morning. And then Eugene to Denver, Denver to Iowa City. And by the time we got to Iowa City, it was in the afternoon. We were just wiped out. I'm just barely recovering. I'm not doing that flight schedule again the next time we go out there. There was another flight in the afternoon that gets us into Iowa City late, but boy, getting up that time, and we got lost we were 12 miles from the airport. My wife's phone locked up with Google Map. We didn't realize it was locked up, and after I went around the massive circle in town, I realized I was back to the same intersection we'd been to before. I finally figured out her phone was locked up, so we had to reset her phone. It was just a nightmare. I had a rental car, so it didn't have any kind of navigation in the rental car. So it's been a nasty week. The trip was great. As everybody said, the weather in Seattle was, low 50s at night, almost 80 degrees in the afternoon, fairly sunny. The other daughter lives in Corvallis, Oregon, which is in the Willamette Valley. 80 degrees in the afternoon, upper 40s at night. Fog. I mean, fog so thick you couldn't hardly see through it until about noon, almost every day. No rain. They haven't had any rain since July, but it fogged over almost every night we were there, just super thick. Really weird climate. But boy, what a beautiful area. If you haven't been to the Willamette Valley, it is really pretty. Okay, enough pontificating. Any other comments?
So real quick, let's go through, so the honorable mention for the assigned was what, which one?
For the assigned honorable mention? With
Yeah.
Northeast Colorado?
Let's see.
That's mine.
That
Bill
was,
Stoddard.
that was,
Go 4 over from that.
oh,
One
there it
more,
is.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that one. And then third place was
Kansas Badlands?
that one. Okay. And then second place,
Mono Lake, the first image.
that one. Okay. And then first place was this one.
Moonrise, last image, that was McGee.
That's a great shot, Raymond.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. It really is a nice shot. The monitor I have here on this computer is not near as good as the monitor I have downstairs on my desk. But boy, on my desk, I expected to see the highlights blown out and they weren't. I was really impressed. I mean, there's detail in them, but it wasn't blown out. Raymond's pretty good at this.
Yeah. And then on the open, the honorable mention was this one, I know,
Honorable mention is, 3.
that one.
Third
Yep.
place was the last one that retired and repurposed.
That one.
Second place was Sitting Tight, the frog on the lily pad. And first place
Okay.
was Burnt Trees.
That's right. Okay.
Nice shots, people, really nice.
But you also gave,
Good job, Larry.
Hi, by the way, are you guys doing your black and white conversion just directly in the camera, or are you doing that in Photoshop? How are you guys doing your black and white conversions?
I do mine in Photoshop.
Okay.
I'm doing,
I got Lightroom, I bought a good book on Lightroom, a new book on Lightroom. And they talk about going into each one of the RGB channels and taking the luminosity out that way and then recombining them. I haven't done very much black and white. I did one black and white with the Lightroom conversion itself. They have like 6 or 7 options for built-in conversions. Some of them are worse. Some of them look pretty decent. Others look pretty lousy. So I was just curious.
yeah, Photoshop and Lightroom have really screwed up on black and whites.
Yeah,
When you go into Camera Raw and you save a black and white, it saves all 3 channels as a grayscale. And each RGB channel has the same value.
yeah. Oh,
And I've argued with them till the cows come home. And they say that's the way it's gonna be. I said, well, you don't know much about it then, do you? Because in black and white, you can always go back in and play with each of the red, green, blue channels.
yeah. Just
And,
like putting a filter over your lens.
and that Camera Raw is not the place to flatten that image. That's kind
No.
of like converting to grayscale.
Mhm.
Sucks.
Yeah, the
Yes.
book I bought talks about, going into each channel separately and working with them and then recombining it.
Yeah,
It's a book on Lightroom. It's a new book. It just came out. About $50. But I've only done one shot with it that I turned into our local club. It hasn't been judged yet. I don't expect to win anything.
Larry? Can you hear me?
Well, nice work. I just enjoy seeing you folks again. A lot of new members I've never met. A couple of you guys I've known from, oh gosh, it's been almost 30 years since I moved to Iowa. So it's been a while. And I saw in your newsletter that's what, 75th anniversary of the club?
That's right.
80,
85th.
80.
85th, okay. I printed it off, but it's down on my desk. Yeah, that's unbelievable. I just got a black and white print back from the N4C convention. I had placed in one of the monthly competitions. I didn't win at the convention, but I had a nice black and white print. It was in White Sands, shot with a 4x5. So,
The club was founded the year I was born.
pardon?
Club was founded the year I was born.
Don't, my knees are killing me, so I don't know. I own up to being the age picking up with me. I think I got arthritis in my knees. So anything else, John, folks? Thanks very much for letting me look at these images. I'm sorry I was disoriented this week.
well, that's fine. That's fine, Larry. And I really appreciate you taking the time to look them over.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be glad to do it again for you sometime, and promise you that I'll be more organized next time.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Larry.
Well, thank you.
Good to see you
Thanks,
again.
Larry.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah, everybody else, I was going to tell you that Roberto Carlos was on earlier, and he was chatting with us back and forth. And then he sent me a text message. He had to check out. He was with his son out at the music store picking up or getting some work done on his viola, I guess. So anyway, I was hoping that once everybody got on here, you'd be able to get a chance to meet Roberto. No,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
That's his first
Yeah.
name.
yeah,
He's got
Roberto.
two first names.
Yeah, I keep turning him around. He had
You
to
gotta
correct me
think
once.
about it.
Yeah,
Right,
he had to correct me once. I had it backwards earlier when I was talking to him.
yeah.
Yeah, but
By the way,
anyway,
keep hanging in there with the black and white, their club. That black and white is still my favorite thing to do. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm really pleased that you guys keep plugging away with it.
yeah, we have a lot of fun with it. I love black and white.
Oh yeah, me too. I really like it. So I'll be happy to judge for you again sometime if you need a judge.
Sure.
Hey,
Yeah,
I've got
no.
one question, if it's okay. Raymond, what time of day did you shoot your mountain scene?
That was evening, late evening.
Okay, was it dark out there?
Yeah, it was pretty close to sunset. I mean,
Okay,
the sun was just casting its last light across those mountains.
okay, great shot, great shot.
You
It is-
really,
Raymond, one other thing, was the exposure, the F-16 rule, sunny F-16 rule, or how did you get the detail in the moon and the mountains both?
I did 2 shots.
Okay, all right,
I
that explains
suspected,
it.
I suspected that. I wasn't going to say anything, but I was suspicious.
Yeah, it's so easy to blow the moon out that, okay, that
Yeah,
makes
oh
sense.
yeah.
I compensated, I just HDR, I didn't think was gonna do it, so I just used 2 shots.
Yeah, very nice, very
Yeah.
nice.
And then blended them in Photoshop.
Sure, yeah.
I have not seen very much HDR that I really like. I mean, it's really touchy to do, I think.
Yeah, because things can look over sharpened. I mean,
Yeah, well, that plus sometimes they just, the color range looks weird.
it just, when it's over sharp, it just sucks. It just doesn't even look natural.
Hmm. Well, I bought a new camera last spring and a D850 Nikon, so I'm learning. So I bought a 24 to 70 zoom, the f2.8 zoom, and then I just got the 70 to 200. F2.8 zoom. That 200 zoom is just unbelievably sharp. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I've got that. And I'm still shooting with the D500.
Ah, But I got a lot of learning to do with Lightroom. I mean, a lot.
Why aren't you using Photoshop?
I got it too. I started with Lightroom, and I have went over to Photoshop to do a couple things and then back to Lightroom. I just started with Lightroom because of the organization problem I had. But I'm going to slowly move into Photoshop. I got it too. 'Cause I'm paying for the monthly subscription, so I got both of them.
Well, try to use Photoshop Raw.
Okay.
because-
I already played with it a little bit on an image, so I'm probably going to move over there eventually.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can use the camera raw filter even if you're not shooting raw.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
some tools that won't show up when you do that, but sometimes it's handy to go back in there after you've already even done the raw work. But
Okay.
I use On One Photo has got some really nice things going on right now too. I kind of jump around between On One Photo and Photoshop Raw.
Yeah, I'm shooting everything in RAW. My files are 56 megabytes coming out of the camera in
yeah.
RAW. So
Hey, memory's cheap.
I shot there's a hatchery in Issaquah where my daughter lives. They had salmon days. We went out there for salmon day. I got a picture of a salmon that's probably, oh gosh, 30 inches, maybe more long, jumping up into a screen at the hatchery. And there was a piece of grass between me and it. I was out of focus. Now I went into Photoshop and got rid of the piece of grass that was arced up over the water and over the fish. So yeah, Photoshop is fantastic for what you can do. But you know, I shot these salmon shots at like a 1/1500th of a second. You can see their eyeballs when you blow the shot up. It was a neat place to go.
But don't let that be a crutch for not taking the picture right in the camera.
Yeah, I know. I knew the grass was out of focus. I could see it in the viewfinder, but I couldn't get the right angle that I wanted. I just shot it just as a record shot mainly. And then after I saw it, oh, I got to do something with this. I'm gonna put this in competition. So I piddled with it. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but we'll see what happens. But boy, if you get a chance to go to Oregon, I'm not moving to Florida. If something happens to us and we got to move out of Iowa City, I'm moving to Corvallis. God, what a beautiful area.
When it's not foggy, right?
Pardon?
When it's not foggy, right?
Yeah, well, it's foggy till about 10 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't rain from July until late October. It doesn't rain as much as it does in Seattle. It barely freezes in the wintertime. They get a little bit of snow, but it never lasts over a day. It never hits 95 in the summertime.
Wow.
No, it's beautiful. From her town, from Corvallis, you could see 3 snow-capped peaks.
Oh, wow.
Distance to the east.
Wow.
Beautiful area.
I've been all over up there. I don't know if I've ever been down that area, but I've been all over. Oregon,
Oh, it's
Washington.
pretty. It's really a pretty area.
The part of that country that really took my breath away was northern Idaho, up in the Panhandle, up along the mountains. Oh my God, is that beautiful country up there?
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Sarah took us out to the east to a mountain. If you look on the map, there's a set of mountains called the Three Sisters or 3 snow-capped peaks.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Coming down off that mountain is a river that's called the Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lava flow 3,000 years ago in this valley that blocks up this pristine lake. And below it is these beautiful waterfalls which she took us to. That had rainbows on them. And it's a neat area.
Wow.
She has one hike she goes on. There's 9 waterfalls in 9 miles.
Huh. That would be different.
Okay, well, anyway, I want to keep you guys tied up with I really enjoyed looking at the photographs. Sorry it was a little confusing, but I'll be glad to do it again, and I promise you I'll be more organized.
Okay. Thanks again, Larry.
Okay,
Thank you, Larry.
have a good evening.
Good evening,
You
guys.
too.
Hey, before y'all get away, footnote I have here. Next meeting will be second Wednesday of November. It's one of our antique / junk items. Plus the open will be, ready. Julie Denishea will be our judge for that night. So you can shoot either antique and or junk items, or however you want to frame that.
Okay, thank you, Calvin.
Sure.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks.
All righty.
Good night, guys.
All right, I'll see you later.
Have a good evening.
All right,
Good
thanks a lot,
night.
guys.